rest of y'all ain't doing nothing.
Every day, CC reminds us why he's here. Back here, first things first, Super Bowl champ Chris Canty's here.
How you doing, Jenna?
Chris Canty, do you know how important CC is in your life?
I know how important CC is in my life. Do you know how important he is in your life?
And if I don't, he'll remind me,
Okay.
which is
I can
good,
take a segment off if you guys want.
No,
you
this
good.
show
Stay
would
right
not
here,
work without
good,
you.
right here.
It is great to have you.
We do fine when Canty's in that seat. We're better right now, but we make do. Chris Canty fills that seat quite well.
Good seeing you, big fella.
My
Good
man,
seeing
I know what time it is, even if they don't know.
Man,
I know what it is.
Listen, everyone on the staff's scared of the man in the glasses except for the man sitting across from him.
That is not true.
Oh, he took glasses off. All right, let's do it.
Start in the AFC, Canty.
Read that, man.
We got some questions to ask you. Patriots heading to Kansas City for their 8th straight AFC title game. You got two great teams. You got two great coaches. But the most anticipated matchup in this one is going to probably be between two great quarterbacks. One in his first year as a starter, the probable MVP in Patrick Mahomes. The other, arguably the best to ever play the game, in Tom Brady, playing for the right to go to his 9th Super Bowl. All right, there's a lot to dive into here. Let's start with what your opinion is on the key to this matchup when these two teams face off.
Well, for the Patriots, it's going to start with playing complementary football. All three phases working in concert in order to try to limit the possessions of that Kansas City Chiefs offense. Normally in a football game, you get the ball 11 or 12 times. It needs to look more like 9 or 10 offensive possessions for the Chiefs.
How do you do that, man?
Well, basically being able to have a ball control offense, being able to have sustained drives. And
Okay,
then
so
winning
eat up the clock.
Eat up the clock, winning the battle of field position. You know the Pats always look to give themselves an edge in the kicking game, and then defensively making sure that you dominate in the critical phases, third downs, red zone, making sure that you can control that and get off the field. So I think that's where the Patriots have to start in terms of their defensive game plan. They have to deny vertical entry for these Chiefs receivers into that secondary. They've got to disrupt the timing. They got to get up in the face of Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. You've got to try to disrupt that chemistry that Pat Mahomes has with his receivers. So I think you'll start to see the Patriots utilize some disguises on the pre-snap stuff, and then, of course, with your coverages, I think they'll sprinkle in some two-man, some man-free, allow those corners to press those receivers for the Chiefs, try to disrupt that timing. I think that's where it has to start if you're going to try to slow down this Kansas City Chiefs offense.
Listen, the Patriots are going to do everything they can to play as little zone coverage as possible.
Yeah, because that doesn't work out. The Colts tried it, and they got shredded.
And in the first matchup, Pat Mahomes was 13 of 15 against the zone for nearly 200 yards, a perfect passer rating, and one of the incompletions was a drop. Like, he shredded it against this Patriots defense. Now, the secondary's playing better. Stephon Gilmore is playing extraordinary football. But there's something I want to ask you when you said deny vertical entry, because we've all talked about how, and it's not an incredibly unique point to say, they're going to bump Kelce off the line of scrimmage. Do you think they're going to do the same thing to Tyreek Hill somehow when he is not out on the edge, when he is coming either out of the backfield or in the slot? I was reading one of the game previews saying treat Tyreek Hill at the line with help over the top, similarly to Travis Kelce, to where he cannot get a free release. It seems easier said than done, and it seems like there is some downside if you don't execute that properly. But is that what you're talking about? Do you anticipate them doing that to Tyreek Hill?
No, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm talking about. When you're thinking about a player like Tyreek Hill that has that kind of speed, you absolutely have to have somebody over the top. That's why I say it has to be two-man or at a minimum man-free, and you're going to try to get those guys to get up in their faces. But Andy Reid's going to have an answer for that. Andy Reid's seen a lot of football, so he's anticipating that. So what's the next move in the chess match? It's being able to have stacks and bunches to try to get free releases for your game breakers. So I think Tyreek Hill will have some motions in there. You will see some stacks to try to get him into that secondary. But it's also having a plan once that happens, and that's why it's important that everybody's on the same page for that back seven for that Patriots defense. CC, I know you talked about this earlier in the week. There probably isn't a better secondary in the playoffs left outside of the New England Patriots. So, I mean, I look at that and say this is one of those matchups that's favorable for the Patriots in terms of what it's going to take game plan-wise to try to slow down this Chiefs offense.
I think one of the keys is you're watching the game. If you're a fan, watch where they line up. The Patriots have been very, very predictable. James Devlin, the fullback, one of the few fullbacks that we have in the league. When him and Sony Michel are on the field together, typically they don't run the ball about 80% of the time. James White, what they have done with him is very, very predictable. He's on the field. They're going to throw the ball, and they like to throw the ball to him. Kansas City, from their predictability, Do they move Kelce outside of a conventional offense and move him outside the offensive line and put him outside the numbers? They did it a couple times the first time they played, because if they're going to bump Kelce, how you can throw off that defense, which is a principal defense, is move Kelce outside. Then one of those linebackers has to be about 18 yards from the center and the line of scrimmage. That is not something they can account for. The more Kelce lines up in a conventional tight end position makes it easier for that defense. And if you're going to bracket, I'm a guy who made a living off of bracket coverage. And if I could run like Tyreek Hill, I'd still be playing. Because that is the most dangerous thing in bracket coverage, is speed. Because typically you don't have someone going all the way deep. You have intermediate, and I'm going to catch them, or I'm going to try to keep up with the player. And when you have the guy at the line of scrimmage, he's not jamming real physical. He's more trying to mirror him. So you're not preventing him from getting off the line of scrimmage. Tyreek Hill will have an impact on the game, and the only way to really be able to stop him, allow him to catch the football, but get him on the ground immediately. That's going to be one of the keys to this Patriots secondary, because I believe Andy Reid's going to dial up some stuff. He's going to be open. But can they get him on the ground and limit the yards after the catch?
We've spent all week, Chris Canty, talking about how this Patriots team, well, they've done it. They've done the talking. They want to adopt this role of underdogs somehow to give them some semblance of an edge for whatever reason. But it seems like this is a very, and it's a 3-point spread, is that what it is? They're underdogs, but this is a very close, evenly predicted matchup between the two teams. It's now Friday before the game. We've done a ton of predicting. What happens for the players? What happens for a young guy like Patrick Mahomes? Like, just tell me as players where you guys are 2 days before a game like this.
Well, right now you're just playing the game out in your mind. You're just thinking about your assignments and how you're going to execute your responsibilities against your matchup. So I think that's what players are going through at this point right now in the week. Pretty much all the physical work has been done, especially this time of year. It's more mental, and so you're going through that exercise and trying to visualize yourself having success. I think that's where everybody's kind of going through at this point. And so when I look at this matchup for the Patriots, I think that their offense is going to have to help their defense in terms of being able to control time of possession and the complexion of the game. Like, we're talking about a plan for Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Pat Mahomes.
Yeah.
I'll say this, there are no good answers when you're facing players that are that talented. So I think in part it's going to have to be the Patriots offense protecting their defense by keeping them off the field and being able to sustain drives. Basically taking a page out of what they did offensively last week against the Los Angeles Chargers. Being able to go with some 21 personnel, 22 personnel, even bringing in an extra offensive lineman to play tight end, making it a physical game, a fist fight in a phone booth. I don't think the Patriots match up well trying to play the space game with the Chiefs offensively or defensively. So I think, again, the game plan has to be complementary: offense, special teams, and defense working in concert.
And real quick, watch how this game is officiated in the secondary. The Chiefs are going to want to clutch and grab to try to give their excellent pass rush a little extra time to get to Brady. But if the refs are letting the Chiefs do that, I fully expect the Patriots to then say, okay, what's good for the goose? And they will start running pick play after pick play after pick play. If you're going to let the defenders clutch and grab, you're probably going to let the offensive players set picks.
Jenna, the last 48 hours, it becomes important to build the monster. It becomes, make sure you get the right thing to eat, and you start making commitments to your teammates, letting them know how hard I'm going to play. I got your back, bro. This is going to be one of them kind of games, man. We got to do things a little bit different. So you start building the monster to the momentum, because for most people, they don't make it to the Super Bowl. This is it. And guys start letting them know the type of energy it's going to take and the commitment one to another. So the last 48 hours become just as important as earlier in the week.
All right, good stuff. Chris, stick around. Coming up, are Jared Goff and the Rams in for a rude awakening to Superdome? That is next on First Things First.